What's going on, everybody? Mortem here. This time bringing you some first impressions for Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicle, an upcoming remake, of course, of Final Fantasy Tactics, a 1997 release that is one of the more important TRPGs out there. But before we dive into all that, I'm able to bring you this video because Square Enix reached out to offer me a review key for this title, and this video is actually going up as the review embargo lifts. Now, I personally am not done with the game, and I am aiming to get a full review out by its actual release date up here on September 30th. That said, let's actually dive fully into this a bit. So the Ivalice Chronicles version here is aiming to be an enhanced version of course, the original game. Now that's important to mention because there was another remake, I believe, for the PSP called The War of the Lions. From what I understand, this version incorporates some of that via things like the War of the Lions translation that they put a lot of work into, but I don't believe it fully encompasses all of the content that was added there. Now, on top of that though, in addition to the enhanced version, they actually did also include the original version in here that basically makes as minimal amount of changes as possible from the 1997 version, outside of just, getting it running and everything. Personally, while I have played the original Final Fantasy Tactics, it was a very long time ago for starters, I have not played the War of the Lions at all. I'm not familiar with it, and so I can't really speak to that aspect too much, but obviously for the sake of this video and the review, I'm going to be focusing on the enhanced version. So let's talk about some of the stuff that's actually enhanced here. It is now fully voiced. They brought on a bunch of voice actors, of course, to make that happen, in addition to a bunch of features designed to make the game a little more approachable. For starters, they added a tactical top-down view to the individual maps, which can make selecting certain squares a lot easier. The game will auto-save during battles. There is an adjustable difficulty. There's a speed-up option from what I understand. So basically the idea being the enhanced edition will be more approachable for people looking to play this game for themselves today, which is especially convenient for somebody like myself who has been meaning to get around to adding Final Fantasy Tactics to my list of reviews, as it is one people ask me about a fair bit. Otherwise, let's talk about the basics. So if you've never played Final Fantasy Tactics before, it tells the story of a series of wars and conflicts that took place in the Final Fantasy setting of Ivalice, which just happens to be my favorite setting they've used personally, by the way. But following an exhausting war called the 50-Year War, Ivalice is trying to recover and is falling prey to a number of problems, not the least of which are things like bandits and economic strife. This, coupled with the fact that their king is about to die, leads to a war between two nobles known as the Lions War. As you'd probably expect, this takes some twists and turns along the way, but in our case we play as the character, or at least in part as the main character, Ramza, a member of a noble house who's on his way to becoming a knight and is obviously, like everybody else, doing the best he can to cope with all of these sudden changes. You are joined by your friend, Delita, a commoner who has basically just been with you the whole time, and then of course you're going to be joined by several others across the story, but also you can recruit regular old mercenaries that you can outfit and equip via the game's job system. So obviously, being a tactics game, the tactical strategy battles are at the heart of it, and a lot of that takes the form of the various job system. Now, some characters you can recruit through the story do actually have unique jobs, but for the most part, there's a set number of them that you'll have access to, like Squire, Knight, Black Mage, White Mage, the usual stuff. This is important for a couple of reasons, because you have your regular level and then your job level. Your regular level gets base stat increases based on the job you were in when you got it. On top of that, however, while you can switch to any job you've met the qualifications for, which is usually prerequisite levels and other stuff, completing successful actions in combat with that job equipped gives you job points that you can then spend on the various abilities that are unique to that job. Once unlocked, despite whatever job you have equipped at the time, you'll be able to equip these individual abilities to your various ability slots. Now the catch to this is you can use the main sort of thing or mechanic from the job you have equipped and then one other one that you know. So for instance, if you have the white mage abilities or the black mage abilities, you could equip white or black magic in addition to your current job. and that's on top of any passive support or reactionary abilities that you have learned independently of the main mechanic of each job. So as you could probably tell just with that brief description, there is a lot of depth to this just in terms of what you can do with an individual character, between recruits, unique characters with their own thing going on, and that's even before you start introducing the other mechanics, like there is a point in this game at which you will be able to use summons or espers. It's been a little while, but I'm like 95% sure you get to ride or mount chocobos in this. But at any rate, once you've kind of parsed through all that and brought yourself into combat is, as you would probably expect from when the game was made, a little on the simpler side as far as TRPGs go, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. But basically, you can move and take an action every turn. Now, there's a couple jobs, like I believe the ninja lets you attack twice, that kind of thing. But for the most part, an action and a movement, and they don't have to necessarily be in any particular order. You can do either one of them first. But while that is the case, you also have to take into account things like elevation, enemy positioning, because a lot of magic abilities, as an example, have the ability to target either the actual target or the tile space that that target is on, and so positioning matters there, of course, because there is friendly fire and enemy healing, so you can use a cure spell on your guys, but if another enemy is in the way of that, they will also just get healed by it. So positioning does matter a lot, and so knowing your place in the turn order, or when you go to cast magic, there's always a bit of a delay on it. The more powerful the magic, the longer it takes to cast typically, so you have to be aware of not only your turn when you cast those abilities, but also all of the people who are going to get a turn in between those two things. And that's all the kind of stuff you have to be thinking about while everything else is going on. Now, I suppose either good or bad news there is you can outgrind the story. So from what I've played and noticed so far, it looks like the random battles will scale to whatever the highest level of the character you are using in that battle is, whereas it looks like the story does not currently do that. So the story just has like a set level per encounter that you can out-level, and then the random encounters are a little more balanced to keep you, I suppose, leveling up and of course grinding both materials and gold and stuff to spend on upgrades via the stores, because outside of combat you'll be able to wander along set lines for travel, where you can have potential random battles when you cross a wilderness area, but then in towns you'll be able to do a few things. Mostly, of course, outfit your characters via the gear they can wear that is available per job they have equipped, or you can go to the tavern and pick up rumors, which can lead you to little side stuff that you can discover, of course, but also eventually errands. I'm not quite there in the game just yet, but errands are essentially like little missions you can send your idle people to go complete for rewards, which gives the people you're not using something to do, as you can have, I believe it's up to 50 people recruited at any given time. Famously, you can recruit Cloud if you jump through a few hoops to do so, mind you. So putting all that together for a first impressions, I'm having a lot of fun with it so far. I've still got a lot to do. Again, my goal is to get the actual review out by the release date, and while I get some people will inevitably be upset that it doesn't include stuff from the War of the Lions version, it does look like they've added a ton of features and options here to try to make this as sort of seamless for new people to jump into and experience this story of the world of Ivalice, and to my mind it does look like they've put in some serious effort here. And I'm looking forward to playing through the rest of it before giving you a final word when I finish the review. But that is going to do it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. Let me know how you feel about all this down in the comment section below, but regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.